Hello, I'm Linda Zippo, President and CEO of the Center for Nonprofits. I'd like to thank the New Jersey Business and Industry Association for hosting this summit and inviting me to say a few words about the Center's most recent New Jersey Nonprofit Issues and Trends Survey. The Center for Nonprofits is New Jersey's statewide nonprofit network and champion for the charitable community. Since 1982, the center has strengthened nonprofits individually and as a community through public policy, professional education and guidance, trainings, conferences, and cost-saving member services. As part of our work to improve the understanding about nonprofits and to drive sound public policy, we regularly survey New Jersey's charitable community about the issues, challenges, and opportunities that they're facing. One of these is our annual Issues and Trends survey, where each year we poll New Jersey nonprofits about how they fared in the prior year, their outlook for the year ahead, and other timely topics and concerns. Given the tumultuous year that was 2020, with the human and economic devastation of COVID-19 and a heightened outcry for racial justice, this year's survey is especially timely. I'll be sharing some preliminary findings from the 2021 survey, which we will reveal fully on February 26th. We're grateful to Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey and to Sobel Co. LLC for their generous support of the survey, and we're very thankful to everyone who completed it. But before I dive in, just a few reminders about New Jersey's charitable nonprofit community. There are more than 34,000 501c3 organizations in New Jersey, according to the IRS. These organizations pre-COVID employed nearly 10% of the state's private workforce, more than many major industries, including construction, transportation, public utilities, finance, and others. Charitable nonprofits in New Jersey spent $42 billion in expenditures annually and marshal the energies and talents of more than 1.5 million volunteers. Nonprofits are vital to the economic and social well-being of the state and are strong partners in providing community solutions. As with countless other crises, the COVID-19 pandemic has underscored just how essential nonprofits are, from frontline health and human services providers to the comfort, healing, and inspiration of the arts and everything in between. And New Jerseyans will need nonprofits to get them through to recovery and beyond. The survey data are based on 251 responses from New Jersey's 501c3 organizations collected online between January 13th and February 7th of 2021. Most organizations have reported moderate or significant disruptions due to the COVID-19 emergency, but the pandemic has affected different organizations in profoundly different ways. For frontline organizations, such as those providing health and human services, demand for services continued to skyrocket, but expenses went up even faster. Meanwhile, arts and cultural organizations, which had to suspend performances and other key activities, saw demand decrease, but revenue drop even more. Even with many organizations having to suspend services during the pandemic, even temporarily, demand for services still outpaced funding. Overall, nearly half of surveyed nonprofits reported that demand rose in 2020, but only a third said that their funding had gone up. Especially concerning, only 3/4 of those reporting higher demand said that they had served more clients and constituents in the prior year. And in 2020, only 30% of nonprofits reported that support and revenue had exceeded expenses in the last fiscal year. In 2020, according to our survey respondents, more than 1/4 had laid off or furloughed staff. Half of these organizations still had not restored any of these cuts by the time the survey had been taken. Worse still, nonprofits still expect demand for services and expenses to rise faster than they believe that their funding will. 70% of our responding organizations predicted that demand was going to go up in the coming year, while less than 40% predicted that their funding was going to go up. Clearly, this is not a sustainable situation. It's clear that we need more assistance. 2/3 of respondents to our survey reported that they had received COVID-19 assistance from the government in 2020. This can include the Paycheck Protection Program, the economic disaster loans from the Small Business Administration, EDA loans from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and others. So that was clearly a lifeline in the prior year. Nearly a quarter of these organizations say they will need additional assistance from the government to make it through 2021. We know that many organizations continued to work in person throughout the pandemic and continue to do so. Many organizations were not able to work remotely, but among those that did, only 10% have fully resumed in-person operations. A quarter say that some employees have resumed working in person and some are still working remotely. Meanwhile, fully a quarter are waiting until a vaccine is widely deployed for employees and their clients and constituents before they can consider going back to in-person operations safely. And 10% have decided that they are going to make remote operations permanent for everybody. It's painfully clear that the pandemic has had a disproportionate impact on people of color. The long-standing disparities and years of underinvestment in critical systems and communities have been laid bare and exacerbated by the pandemic. This is reflected in our survey results, and we'll cover this more fully when the survey report is released. What are nonprofits doing in response to what they've been experiencing? This is the kind of stuff that you would expect. Nonprofits are seeking new and alternative revenues from donated sources, foundations, individuals, corporations, increasing volunteer recruitment. Volunteer service has been especially challenging during the pandemic because in-person activities have had to be curtailed, but nonprofits are absolutely working to increase their capacity in any way that they can. Of course, many nonprofits pivoted and converted major events to virtual platforms. They've been increasing advocacy, collaborating even more. Nonprofits are very good at collaborating, but they've been doing more things with nonprofits and with the for-profit community and with government so that we can get through this pandemic and this crisis together. Obviously, programming and budget adjustments have been absolutely critical, and nonprofits have been finding new ways to share services. In our survey report, we'll be going over some other actions that nonprofits have been taking. Every year in our survey, we ask nonprofits what their challenges are for the coming year or two. What are the most important challenges that will affect your viability as an organization? And this year, needless to say, financial uncertainty was top of the list, followed by branding and communications, the need to try to stand out from the crowd. This was followed by the need to strengthen boards to recruit and retain strong, good, capable board members. And of course, COVID-19 recovery was very much in the mix, along with the increased demand for services. Rounding out some of the most frequently mentioned issues, diversity and cultural competence. Clearly, that is a huge concern, and nonprofits are working very hard to try to improve and advance diversity and equity and anti-racism within their organizations and beyond. Staffing issues, the affordability of benefits, and the need for strategic planning. Planning in this environment is beyond difficult, and that has certainly been borne out by our survey findings. We also asked nonprofits what they feel are the biggest challenges to the nonprofit community as a whole moving ahead. And again, not terribly surprising, foundation and corporate funding topped the list at 54%, followed by COVID-19 recovery. Again, not necessarily surprising, but a huge recognition about how important that is. Advancing diversity and equity in nonprofits, identified as one of the top issues by 40% of our respondents, as was infrastructure and capacity building, followed by attracting and retaining good, strong board members. This again reflects the recognition of what has happened in the past year and just how critical embracing and advancing diversity and equity is for the well-being of the nonprofit community, the communities that we serve, and society at large. The bottom line is simple. New Jersey needs a strong nonprofit community. The pandemic has underscored just how important the services and programs are that nonprofits are providing, and it also underscores the absence of some of the services that have not been made available or been able to be provided due to health reasons or other kinds of considerations. But if we are going to make it through this pandemic together, we need a strong nonprofit community to be able to partner with government, with the for-profit community, and with other stakeholders to bring us through. And if we agree that a strong nonprofit community is important, then investing in the nonprofit community is critical. And we need to work together to make sure that those investments are made. The full report, New Jersey Nonprofits 2021 Trends and Outlook, will be released on February 26th, and we will be hosting a web briefing to go through some of the main findings of the report. The presentation that I'm concluding now only scratches the surface of the information that nonprofits shared with us, and we'll be able to provide a lot more of that when the survey is released. Again, I would like to thank Sobelco and Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey for supporting the survey, and especially would like to thank all of the organizations who took the time to complete it. To stay in touch with the Center for Nonprofits and keep abreast of what we are doing and to connect with us, please follow us on social media, join our email list, and visit our website regularly at njnonprofits.org. Again, we appreciate the time to be able to share our perspective today. Thanks again to New Jersey Business and Industry Association for hosting this summit and for everything that they're doing in the state. And thanks to all of you in the nonprofit community and beyond for everything that you're doing in our communities every day to keep everybody strong. Please stay strong, stay safe, and we look forward to staying in touch.